Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today. Hi, Market Mamas host Becky here, and I am so excited, you guys. Today, I get to sit and pick the brain of a decades experienced trader and major entrepreneur in the trading world. I don't know about you all, but I first used information from my guest company a few years ago when I was getting serious about day trading, and this feels like a pretty cool moment for me to welcome him into my podcast now. So with me today is Eddie Z, a trader since the late 1980s and founder of EZ Trading Computers, a trading computer company with the goal to educate fellow traders about trading technology and offer them the highest quality computers at the lowest possible prices with the best technical support on the planet. And as you know, this company is legit because it was founded by a trader who gained his expertise by walking the walk in the markets for years before discovering a need and stepping up to the plate to meet that need. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked to talk all things trading and tech with Eddie. Eddie, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, me too. So I think we, with all that we have to cover with your long and impressive history in the industry, I'm quite sure that we'll be splitting this into two sessions for the podcast because there's just so much, right? So I'm curious also about your computers that you help people facilitate finding what they need, because I was in a situation a couple of years ago where I was getting so much slippage and I was getting really frustrated. And I have a trading friend, Peter, who's been in my community we met our first year in trading. And so we've been tight ever since. We get together. And he was like, you have to read this resource from EZ Trading Computers because they told me everything that I need to know and they hooked up my system. And I did utilize that. And I made some smaller, but some decent upgrades to my system based on your information. And it improved radically right afterwards. So like, hook us up. Tell us what we need to know. If we're in the situation where we're like, okay, I think I know how to trade, but I'm having these tech issues, then that becomes a separate issue.
Right. So that's a big question.
Yeah, that's a lot. So, unpack it, however.
So think of it this way. Trading is a peak performance activity. Imagine going to race in the Daytona 500 with like a Kia Sorento. So if you take, your neighbor's old computer and it's, this is going to be my trading computer, and he bought it in, 2011 at Best Buy, you're going to make a mistake. Think about it this way. You pull up your trading platform. Let's say you use TradeStation or TradingView. You put up 20 or 30 symbols, and then you pull up maybe 4 or 5 different time frame charts. And every time you click on a symbol, it loads all the time frames for you. Mm-hmm. Well, think of every single instrument that you put up that you want to monitor as its own Netflix movie. It's taking in that much data just on that symbol, and then your computer has to take the data and keep track of all the indicators right on those charts, even when you're not looking at it. So the more you have on there, it's like streaming 10 or 20 real-time movies at the same time. So everything has to be spot on real time. If a computer's too slow, you get a bottleneck on that data. And then the information you see on the screen could be a fraction of a second to a couple seconds delayed. And you go to buy a stock or anything. You go to make any trade, and then the price you get filled at is a little bit different than what you expected. It's almost because you have a delay. It is because you have a delay on what you think is the real-time market. Have you ever been watching CNBC and they remote in somebody? So like me and you were talking now this way, they'll have like a panel discussion, people from all over the country or even on the other side of the pond, and sometimes there's like a little delay. They'll wind up, there's a silence that's awkward, or they talk over each other. That's all like different computers, different networks. And that's like your biggest risk. One of the biggest risks as a trader is not having a computer that can handle that waterfall, that fire hose of real-time data as it pours into your machine. The machine has to take all that information, turn it into charts, your indicators, alerts, everything you have running in the background, and make it all happen in the closest thing to real time as possible. And then of course, trading can easily kick in your fight or flight response. When you make a bad trade, you know that. Last thing you need is a computer issue.
Yeah.
Your screen freezes in the middle of a trade, the power goes out. Like, so many things can happen. You don't need that extra layer of stress. Yeah. So it's important to have a good computer. I don't recommend you go spend 10 grand on a computer. I think that's ridiculous. There are people who do that. But you should have a good computer for trading. And modern technology, as you know, changes more and more rapidly as the days go by. I mean, they're trying to pump these phones on us like every year. They're wanting us to upgrade the phones. Mm-hmm. A new high-end computer that you buy today should give you 3 to 5 years. Let's call it 3 to 4 years before it really becomes obsolete for trading. At least historically, that's how it's been. But if you bought a store-bought Best Buy computer like 3 years ago, probably not optimized for trading right now. And we have a test. So if you wanted to test your computer for trading, if you went to easytradingcomputers.net, my website, and you go under the About navigation on the top, you click About and then Test My Computer Speed, I walk you through a set of steps to determine how fast your computer is and kind of tell you where you are in comparison to what you need. You'll also be offered our buyer's guide, it's a complete guide to trading computers. And in there, I walk you through what you need and, the pitfalls of trying to trade on an older machine and, what the problem is with that. It's technology. That's technology. Speed. Moore's law is still true. So the technology just is growing exponentially. And I think we're all a little overwhelmed with the whole AI thing. Yeah. It's a little scary. We don't even know what it means or where it's going. And every day it's different. And I get that. I mean, even for me, I can't even keep up with it. And I try to study this stuff and it's overwhelming. But when it comes to trading, I know there's a lot of folks, AI trading doesn't even process. And I don't think it's important right now. But I think in the future, you want your machine to be able to handle whatever modules a trading view or a thinkorswim or a trade station, whatever trading platform you're using, they're all going to have some module for you to do some kind of back testing where you build your own set of rules. There's an AI module that does all this back testing for you. You don't need to know programming. I think that's where it's going. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a big question.
Yeah. Well,
if you're running a lot of, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. Actually, I knew nothing of you other than Peter sent this to me, and I did that test on your website from you. And I was like, oh, and I sent Peter my results, and he's like, that's not good, Becky. And I was like, what the hell? It's like a year and a half old computer. I bought it for trading, obviously not from you. And he's like, no, you gotta do some things. And so then I used that guide actually 2.5 years ago now, and I did change things and my numbers. Then I did redid the test, and I was like, okay, and then it went better. So
awesome.
Yeah, props to you. This is like a full circle moment for me because you were a resource for me before we knew each other. But do you think that, so algorithmic trading, I read that it's something like 80% of retail traders are functioning within algorithms, like not the money makers, but it's really rapidly increasing in the percentage of traders.
There's a lot of, so I guess it's, how do you define what an algorithm is? Is it just a formula? Does it just mean that you have a set of rules that you trade around? What does that mean? What does that mean?
To me, that means that there's a set of rules and it's electronically created, written, scripted, and then it executes when you say execute this rule, then it executes for you. And so then in that situation, you're relying on your technology to say, within these parameters, I will do X, Y, Z, and then there will be a trade outcome at the end. So in that, I think, how much do you think that having leading edge tech in order to facilitate those? I'm not an algorithmic reader, but
absolutely. Yeah. Not only do you need to take in 20 Netflix movies at the same time, you have that algorithm calculating whatever the formula is in the background and making sure you buy and sell at the exact right moment. So makes it even more important to have the processing power. The processor is like the engine of the computer. You need the most horsepower that you possibly can have. I mean, you don't have to go crazy, but you want to be towards the higher end. So those algorithms run in real time and it can take as much as you give it. Yeah. There are a lot of folks out there selling algorithms and programs. I mean, in my opinion, they're very black boxy, and it speaks to the number of people who are looking for the Holy Grail, and they think this magical indicator is the solution. They don't even really know how it works or why it's doing what it's doing. When it turns green, they buy. When it turns red, they sell. And, I think if you're a trader, you want to learn a little bit more about just basic supply and demand, economics 101, understanding limited supply and increasing demand is going to make a good, a stock, a commodity, a currency is going to make it go higher.
Yeah.
And, if you increase the supply and demand remains the same, probably going to come down. These are just like basic economic principles, and you don't really need a lot of information to see it. So it does sometimes, but it's been around since I've been around on Wall Street. Program trading, this concept of program trading, the crash that happened in 1987 where the Dow dropped 25% in one day was blamed on program trading. Can't happen today. We have circuit breakers to prevent that. So the markets will shut down. But they blamed it on program trading. So they've been trying to, these MIT quants have been trying to outsmart the market forever. But ultimately, they program these devices. It's just human thought at exponential speed. That's all it is. But I mean, a lot of people think they found this shiny object and it's going to make them perpetual money. And that's where I think maybe the algorithmic trading comes in. And well, a lot of the ETFs are based on algorithms too. So there is institutional money trading the algorithms. So yeah, that is part of it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you wanted to rely on the algorithm, you're going to want to make sure that your technology is equipped to keep up with it.
Right. Right. And I've heard positive stories too.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that I didn't end up trying to do the algorithmic, because I think for what you just said of like, when you buy an algo and then you're clicking buttons based on it, I don't know that makes you a trader. It makes you in like putting money into the markets in a trading similar capacity. But for me, I think that becoming a trader is like digging in and trying to understand what you said, like why the market moves and how it moves and what that means and what money could be behind it and how longly it's likely to hold based on what happened at said level, supply or demand. And I think digging in to understand those concepts is what makes a person like, it sets you up for a longer career as a trader versus putting money into an algorithm. It's different.
Right. It's a different mentality a little bit. And it makes sense. It appears to be a tool that's going to help you make money faster. And it's like a solution. Oh, if I buy this indicator, now I'm going to make money. I'm going to buy this algo, now I'm going to make money. And it doesn't always work out that way, as a lot of traders learn. I think there's some value to them. I mean, I suppose even the system that I use could be programmed into an algorithm, or some AI bot could do it for me. It's possible. So maybe that's where AI will one day help someone like me kind of make it easier to monitor the markets and do the trades for me. It's possible. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I think the basic concept of supply and demand is like the most important thing a trader should know.
Yeah. I think probably the good algorithmic coders are aiming to do just that, right? They're trying to find the best systems and then make them easier so that people can do them with less stress. And the idea is nice, right? To be not super stressed and carry the full weight of all the decisions on you, but to be like, I bought this from this guy who's super successful and it's on my side with what I see. So that makes me feel better. But to rely heavily on anything that you don't understand, I think there's a risk to that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That you don't understand.
Yeah. Strive to understand. to
But
learn.
if you are using those algorithms, absolutely, you want a computer that can absolutely do, if you want to run it on 20 instruments at the same time, you need the processing power. You need
Yeah.
the graphical power. You need to be able to do that.
I
So
mean,
that guide's a great place to start
okay.
and to, just learn what you need. And then we have that test online where you can figure out kind of where you are now and where you need to be.
And if you have a good computer, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to replace everything. There are pieces to the computer system that you could replace if one of them is not ideal and another part is. Like you can break that down and it's not crazy hard to sub out certain pieces of your system, right?
In theory, you could change components of your computer. However, the engine of the computer is that CPU, which is the central processing unit, also known as the processor. That's the most important thing. If that's not strong enough, if that doesn't have what's called a benchmark score, which is like, think of it as horsepower, of a minimum of 25,000 on our test, you're going to run into a little bit of trouble with what we call slippage. Slippage is when you put in an order to buy or sell and you get filled at a price you didn't expect because your data is old. So that if you don't have that, you kind of need to start from scratch. And that's if you have a really good processor, some of these processors have the graphics built right into them. So you might not have a video card. In many cases, you can just add a video card. So from that point of view, you're right. If you can just add a video card, you can improve the computer dramatically. Sometimes your weak link just might be your internet connection, or the fact maybe you're using a wireless connection in the house and the router's on the other side of the house. I've had years ago, my house got struck by lightning and one of the splitters in the wall failed from a lightning strike, and it was like intermittent. So really had to have the Xfinity guy out here in the attic to figure out what it was. Like I couldn't even figure out what was going on. Yeah. And it was because of a little burnout on a splitter somewhere. So there's lots of places in the loop of the data. There's fail points.
Yeah.
But the computer is an easy one to solve. Obviously, a splitter in the wall is a little harder to resolve. Yeah.
That's a great point. I did have to hardwire my internet to my computer once I realized that I didn't, and there were some issues as well.
Right. I mean, it's gotten a lot faster. If you're going to be wireless, you want to be at least near where the router is. You don't want it on the other side of the house. Or if you live in a building, I mean, I've seen some of my friends. I live in South Florida. We have friends like in condos on the beach. And they'll show me their Wi-Fi list. They have access to like 30 routers because everybody in the building. So there's probably interference there. There's all kinds of things that can go haywire with that.
Yeah. And then you run the risk of like, what if somebody else is trading or doing something else like very high maintenance and you're trying to use that internet? Like it's all going to be bogged down.
Right.
Like when the Netflix gives you the wheel of it, like it's reloading, like you don't need to have that on TradingView.
Exactly. That Netflix wheel is the perfect example of slippage, like that delay. It's loading all those thumbnails. When you first turn on Netflix, all the thumbnails are loading. All like the first few seconds of those first few videos are loading in the background. It's much faster than it used to be, but it's still there.
Yeah. We have to pay attention to that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you have a lot of great resources on your website. And so we'll definitely put all of those links in the description and people can find them and utilize them.
Awesome. Again, I would recommend checking out the Complete Guide to Trading Computers. Just walk through it. It's an easy read. It's not complicated. I'm pretty down to earth. I recognize traders want to trade. They don't want to be all nerded out with computer technology. And I don't want to nerd people out. I'm not going to baffle people with BS. I just, I hate when I go to buy something and they lay all this tech and jargon on me. And I'm like, I don't need to know that. That's too much information. Like we go get your car fixed. And they're like, you need to get to this and to that. And I took this apart and then I found this. I'm like, I don't need to know that. Just fix it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm the perfect example of that because I was a nurse. I'm the perfect example of that because I was a nurse for, I'm coming up on 19 years a nurse. And then I fell in love with trading. And so I am a nurse and I'm a trader, but I am not a tech person at my core. And so I actually found that easy guide very easy to read as well, because I know I need to have it optimized and I need to have the tools, but I don't feel like I need to deeply understand every aspect of RAM. I just want it to
Right.
work.
You don't need to. You
Thank
just
you.
need to know how much you need for trading, and that to make sure it's, it's a high quality brand, because RAM specifically, which is random access memory, it's where your program lives when your computer is on. So when you turn your computer on and then you load TradingView, it loads into the RAM. And so all the programming lives just when the computer is on. So, and it's like a light bulb. If it burns out, it's gone. There's no it's either works beautifully or it's burnt out. It's like a light bulb. So that's all. I mean, that's really all you need to know about RAM. We don't need to get in more nerded out than that.
Yeah.
So we walk you through all that stuff, and then I send videos. I made videos to explain it in trader speak, not geek speak. So I'll send you some videos that explain things step by step, and you'll get something out of it that will improve your trading for sure.
Cool. Well, I love trading, and I know I have a lot more to grow, but the part of this podcast is like, I think that there's so much validity to people who really want to do it and stick with it past like year one where they've lost, and then they start to really learn. And so that's the whole point of this show, is like to support people who are trying to make it through but are struggling, or to bring resources. And so I think that you kind of killed two birds with one stone, because you had a lot of trading tips, and then like, this is a killer resource, your company. So I mean, well done, man.
I think that your motivation is the best motivation that there can be in this environment, because I'm sure you know as well as I, if you search trading in YouTube, there's a lot of wackadoodles out there. Look how much I made, look at my Lamborghini, look at my this, and that's just not genuine. And so just be careful not to fall into that trap. I think you do something very valuable by just being your genuine grown-up self online. And trading can be very challenging. It's just very important to find a system, keep your fight or flight response in check. That's really your biggest risk, because that's where you can go off the rails. But I appreciate what you're doing too.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if you find it and you love it and you really want to like progress and get successful, like that's when you have to dig into what speaks to you resource wise, and then tune out all the crap. Like there's a lot of crap. So yeah, let's do that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time, Eddie. I really appreciate it. And I love all these resources. So definitely check out the description and click on that PDF to the complete guide, because it is a valuable resource that I think any trader needs to have just saved on their computer, because you can resource, like it's broke down into categories too. Like you can figure stuff out quickly through it as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. Appreciate it so much.
Cool. Have a great day.
Tons of luck.
Thank you. I am 4 years in, so I'm going to be a guest on a podcast in a decade. And
maybe we need to do this in reverse next time. So I'll interview you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Awesome.
All right. Have a great day, and everyone enjoy the weekend if you're watching this on Friday. Thank you.